with the majority of my leads, you know, Alain Moussi, JuJu Chan, Tony Jaa, obviously, they do all of their own stuff.
Congratulations on this film. It looks super cool. And it's classified as a sci-fi martial arts film. Can you tell me how it came about?
So I spoke to my writing partner and I said to him, I said, why don't we write a comic book? And he said, why? I said, because I said, we should look at, the only reason to do it is so that we can look at it and see if it looks like it would make a really good movie. Because, you know, it's kind of like doing a vivid storyboard, you know. And so we sat down, we wrote a comic book called Jiu Jitsu. And then I did an awful lot of research in Jiu Jitsu. And Jiu Jitsu is one of the only arts, it's known today as Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, because it evolved into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu by the Gracies. The Gracies took it around the 20s and made it into what it is today, which is the basis for the UFC, etc. But Jiu Jitsu itself goes back to 700 or 800 years BC. And they think, based on all the historians, that it may or may not be from Japan and a derivative of judo, okay? And it was what the peasants used to learn so that they could fight off invaders and stuff, and they had rough weapons that they used to use, et cetera, et cetera. And so because the origins were really, you couldn't pinpoint them, because some people say it was Korea, some people, et cetera, you know, many places around the world. I decided to use that as the basis for the fact that perhaps it was brought to us by aliens, okay? And you know, martial arts film concepts and story concepts are wild, right?
Yeah.
And so you really have to approach it in a wild way. And so, you know, I tell everybody, I said, don't hurt your brain too much by worrying about what this is about. Just enjoy yourself. Okay. So that was the genesis. And after we wrote the comic book, we looked at it and we said, wow, you know, this is going to make a pretty cool film.
Yeah, it's a great cast. Like you mentioned, Alain, Tony Jaa, Frank Grillo, of course, Nicolas Cage, JuJu Chan. I mean, it's a really great cast. Yeah. And you know, Nicolas Cage, he always brings this unique take on the line. Even in the trailer, it's like, it's spaceman. And he says, that's alien politics. I mean, does he take it to all, you know, your dialogue to all new levels?
I mean, Nick is a wonderful actor, and he embraces every film, and he brings his own take to the character. But he's so good, and he's so committed, and he's really entertaining, you know. And I just love working with him. I mean, he was just, he makes you laugh when you're supposed to laugh. He gets very serious when you're supposed to be serious. He's wacky. So he brings a whole level of entertainment to the film that is really unique.
And he's a martial arts fan, right? I think he trained, I don't know if he trained jiu-jitsu for this or he does it already, you know, he does it on his spare time.
Well, he told me that he trained for several years on his own, and he trained with some of the best. So he really came to it, and he's in great shape. He works out daily, and so it was very easy for him to step into the role.
And how many, does he have a large amount of fight scenes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
He's got some pretty unique fight scenes, and he's got some pretty wild sword fighting scenes and stuff like that, so.
Oh, wow. That's very, very cool. And now the alien is really cool looking. What inspired the look?
You know, I looked at, there's the fellow that designed Alien, the movie Alien, is a very unique designer by the name of Geiger. And I looked at his designs for the spaceship back then and all the kind of aliens that he had in and to the spaceship. So that was really a kind of a model that I went back to. So when I sat down with the fellow that designed this suit, I said to him, I said, let's use that as a reference.
Yeah, I could see that when I was watching it. I think that's probably why I thought it was so cool, the way he looked, because
Yeah.
the suit is very intricate.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of detail. Thank you for noticing. There's an awful lot of detail in it, and you'll see all that when you see the film itself. We tried to pull that off, and then it works in a very unique way. So when he's breathing and when he needs to, when he gets himself all hot, so to speak, and there's all kinds of things that the suit does.
Yeah, I really like the suit. I thought it was really, really cool. When I saw the trailer, I was like, now that's awesome. You know, it's hard to be original nowadays because we've seen so many movies now.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you're right. And so, you know, I'm going to get accused of all kinds of stuff and ripping this off and ripping that off. And the fact is that what we have is we have martial arts.
Mhm.
I mean, this particular alien is sitting there and he is supposed to fight this band of jujitsu fighters that are training every 6 years to fight him to the death. And so that's what we have, and it's martial arts all the way, and it's jujitsu based, but it's old jujitsu based. So there's weapons, et cetera, et cetera. And then remember, I do things that are cinematic.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you know, when you see guys rolling around on the ground, that's not a cinematic. It's having my leading man fly through the air and do some spinning back kicks and things like that, which is what the martial arts fans really like to see.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I read this, if this is correct. Was it a 6-week shoot?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now that, what was, I mean, that's a tight deadline.
Well, it's an independent film schedule,
Right.
and so we don't have the kind of schedule or the kind of budget that major motion pictures have. But I do have martial artists that can do all of their own stunt work. So if you look at the majority of my cast, if I had to double every one of them, I would have never made it, you know, especially my lead. My lead pulls off all of his own stunts, and we try to stay as authentic as possible, staying away from wire work, staying away from doubling, staying away from cowboy switches and things where you take the actor and then you replace them with a stunt person and then you replace them with the actor again. So with the majority of my leads, you know, Alain Moussi, JuJu Chan, Tony Jaa, obviously, they do all of their own stuff.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I think that probably cuts down like half the time, right? When you have to do the switcheroo.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When you have to double people, I mean, you know, you might as well, like you said, if it takes you a half hour to cover one person and then you go ahead and replace them with another person, we'll double that. And suddenly you're doing that for another hour and on and on and on. Then you start going into extra days. The main thing is that you have to have the audience believe and buy into the fact that you're dealing, number one, with an exceptional martial artist. And Alain Moussi is a 6th-degree jiu-jitsu master. He's been training since he was 9 years old. He can do, at 6'1", 205 pounds, he can do a front aerial, a back aerial, and he can run up the side of a wall. Now, you know, if you know anything about physics, it's very hard to do.
So I read also somewhere, I'm not sure if this is true, but you originally intended the role for Bruce Willis, the Wiley character, which Nicolas Cage plays.
Yeah, we had some discussions with Bruce, and he wasn't available. He was doing, you know, he's very busy. And so I was just thrilled that we ended up with Nick, because I think Nick brought to it a very, very unique character and dedication that just is all over the film.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate
Sure,
it.
no problem. All right. Bye, Dimitri.
Bye-bye.